without a doubt, the Lord of the Rings trilogy has some of the best battles in cinematic history. So today we're going to rank all 8 of the main battles from the Lord of the Rings trilogy from the worst to the best. What is up, Lord of the Rings fans? My name is Trevor, and welcome back to another episode of Middle-earth Mondays, where we discuss everything Middle-earth, from Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit. And before I give you guys my ranking, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your guys' rankings of these 8 main battles. We're not including every battle on this list. There's a couple one-on-one fights in here we are not including, but the main battles we see in all 3 of the movies are on this list. Go ahead and share your guys' ranking down below, and let's go ahead and get this thing started right at number 8. And in last place, though, I love this battle, is the Ents versus Isengard. And this battle actually holds kind of an emotional punch in a way for the character of Treebeard, because he sees a field of decapitated trees. We find out we're actually some of his friends, and Merry and Pippin really wanted him to kind of go and attack Isengard before this, but this really put him over the edge, got the rest of his Ents to go and attack Isengard while their army's away at the Battle of Helm's Deep. Though I love this battle, the only problem I really have is that it takes away from one of the most epic battles in cinematic history, from the Battle of Helm's Deep, to come back here and see the trees attacking Isengard, where they don't really have an army to defend them. So it definitely kind of pulls away from one of the best battles ever, and that's why it's coming in last place. Though I love it, though it has an emotional punch, though it has a really cool thing, we get to see Merry and Pippin in action with a bunch of trees, it does take away from something that is a little bit better, so that's why it's coming in last. At number 7 is the Riders of Rohan versus the Warg Riders from the Two Towers. A very epic, awesome battle scene. Again, with an emotional tie, we end up finding by the end of this battle that Aragorn, we think that he dies. He falls off a cliff and then no one can survive that fall, but it really shows the perseverance and how united the Rohan is. They didn't have many soldiers going into this battle. They only had probably 20 men on horses, and they had to go attack Isengard and go attack these Warg Riders. Though they won, it definitely took a lot for them to come together, and it took a lot of heart for them to win this battle. We also have some very funny scenes in here. We always get the Legolas and Gimli banter, but with Gimli sitting there talking to a warg, bringing that pearly face to my ox, we get lots of funny little things like that. Again, with an emotional tie with Aragorn falling ultimately, but definitely shows the unity and the heart and the strength that Rohan really has. At number 6 is going to be Aragorn versus the Nazgul at Weathertop from the Fellowship of the Ring, and this truly shows us who Aragorn / the Strider really is, because the hobbits are there cooking, they're trying to eat, because they eat so much, that's one of their favorite things to do. Then the Nazgul ultimately end up finding them while Aragorn's away, and all the hobbits are about to just die, and Frodo ends up getting stabbed with a poisonous blade. Then Aragorn comes in, and he really just shows who he is, how much grit he has, how much strength he has, and how much of a badass fighter he has. Aragorn's one of my favorite cinematic heroes of all time, and to see him take on the 9 Nazgul like he did, and we get introduced to his lover of Arwen after that, who takes him to Rivendell, who really progresses the story. But that battle alone with Aragorn just fighting all of them, and then ultimately literally throwing the torch into one of their Nazgul's faces, a very epic, awesome battle, really shows that Aragorn, he doesn't come to play. Breaking us into the top 5 is going to be the Fellowship versus the Goblins of Moria from the Fellowship of the Ring. Peregrine Took, aka Pippin, ends up dropping this big skeleton down this big shaft, and Gandalf's just so mad at him, just wants to just punch him in his head, and that ends up leading to goblins and a cave troll coming in, and this really gets to see who is our Fellowship, how are we going to do together, how is their chemistry. There's a lot of them. You got the Boromir, Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, Gandalf, and a bunch of hobbits. How are they all going to mesh together? And they mesh together beautifully. Has a very kind of scary scene. I remember as a kid, whenever the cave troll pops around a corner and starts basically screaming at Frodo and Sam, it made me always jump. Frodo gets stabbed yet again. Luckily, he was wearing the Mithril chain, that is a magic elvish chain that really is powerful, so didn't end up hurting him too bad. But then it leads to Gandalf falling to the Balrog, where we think he got him. You shall not pass. He gets the Balrog to fall, but the Balrog throws a whip up. Gandalf falls down with him. Fly, you fools. One of my favorite Lord of the Rings lines. But then ultimately, we think Gandalf is dead until we find out in Two Towers he comes back as Gandalf the White, and a very awesome, emotional, epic scene when Frodo yells no. It really just tears you up inside, and Aragorn has to take a lead of all of them, grab them up to the bootstraps, and they have to keep moving, or else the Urukai is going to come and get them all. A very awesome battle, and it's one of the first battles inside the Fellowship of the Ring, and it's so cool to see our Fellowship fight together. At number 4 is going to be the Battle of the Black Gate, and this battle is just emotional because Aragorn and the rest of the Fellowship that is still alive, with Gondor and Rohan, their small army they have, trying to keep the eye fixed on them and take on all the orcs that are still left in Mordor, while Frodo and Sam take the ring and drop it into the fire. It's so emotional, and all the while, Gollum is fighting Frodo and Sam, and you don't know if they're going to make it, but Aragorn and all of them are trying to keep everyone fixed on them. It's emotional. Aragorn says one of the most iconic lines in Lord of the Rings history for Frodo. Very emotional, gives you chills, and they all go, they charge in. It's definitely, they're outnumbered, and definitely we think they would obviously lose a lot worse than they did, and we end up getting the Eagles coming to save the day, and the Fellowship wins yet again. At number 3 is going to be the Fellowship versus the Urukai at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, the final battle, and most of these battles are emotional. We generally end up losing one of our Fellowship members, and in this case, we lose Boromir to Lurtz, where he shoots 3 arrows in him, and this is kind of an emotional battle again as well, very emotional movie, but also very epic battle, because Boromir is kind of the unsung villain of the Fellowship. He kind of tries to take the ring from Frodo, and you think that Boromir is not a good person, and then he ends up redeems himself, saves the hobbits. He takes on these mighty, powerful Urukai warriors, blows the horn of Gondor, while Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are taking on the rest of the Urukai. They have to go and save him, and Boromir ends up sacrificing himself in order to save Merry and Pippin. Ultimately, they end up getting taken, but Boromir makes the ultimate sacrifice to give the hobbits a fighting chance, to get Frodo and Sam to finally get on with their journey, and again, it's emotional, and Sean Bean, poor guy, he dies in his first season of Game of Thrones. He dies in the first movie of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but very emotional, very epic, and this is Boromir's spotlight, and this is the perfect send-off to one of our great characters. Our runner-up is going to be the battle for Minas Tirith. Denethor, who's the king of Minas Tirith, who's the king of Gondor, ends up just being a big wussy, and Gandalf has to basically whack him with his staff, and he has to take lead for himself, knowing that they are ultimately screwed. There's like 1,000,000 orcs coming in with trolls and battering rams and big towers so they can get to the top of the castle with Nazgul dragon. And you know that Gondor's not looking good, but as long as you got the White Wizard and Gandalf on your side, there is never not a possibility that you were going to win. And he ends up getting these scared Gondor soldiers to unite together and take on them and basically buy time until Rohan and the Rohirrim come. 1,500 Rohan soldiers on horses come in and save the day, and that's ultimately epic with Théoden's great speech of right now, and they're yelling, yeah. They come in, they start really they think they have the victory, but then Mordor has something in his back pocket. Basically, giant elephants that are called the Mumakil come in and start really messing up the Rohirrim. Then the Witch King of Angmar comes in. We've only heard little things about him. He comes in, he takes out Théoden King, the king of Rohan. So many epic things happen in this. Then to say that Éowyn has her one-on-one with the Witch King of Angmar, who is very powerful. No one thinks she can do it, and he says, you fool, no man can kill me. And Éowyn, she kills him. Awesome. Gets a little help from Mary, who stabs him in the leg, and she stabs him in the face, and it is super just like girl power. You are so happy. You are so hyped up. But then the Mumakil are still messing him up, but then Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli come with the army of the dead, and they take out the rest of the army that the Mordor had provided. So epic. So many things happen. I can't believe everything I just listed off right there. So many things happen. It is truly epic, and it is truly awesome. But coming in at number 1 for me is going to be the Battle of Helm's Deep. This, to me, is the most emotional, badass, epic battle of all time. From basically them having a draft to picking up little kids to like, hey, you gotta come fight because we don't have enough guys. Haldir and a bunch of elves coming in to fight with Aragorn and Legolas, and they come and they basically provide the archery, and it's so cool and so epic too. The Helm's Deep wall blowing up that you think how the Rohan is screwed, and Théoden's like, is this all you can muster, Sauron? And end up, you never ask that. Isengard and the Urukai blow up the wall. They think that our heroes are actually screwed. But then Gandalf and Eomer come in with the Rohirrim, save the day. All the while, the trees, the Ents are taking on Isengard. So epic. So many things happening. We have Théoden get stabbed. We have Haldir who came in to save the day, do good, gracious work. And he comes in, he ends up getting killed. But so many epic things, so many awesome things, from Legolas riding down on a shield to shooting all his arrows to him and Gimli's banter, basically yelling back and forth, Legolas, 2 already, I'm on 17. Awesome banter like that. But also when Aragorn and Gimli go around the side, he throws Gimli across on the bridge, and Gimli says, don't tell the elf. It's funny, it's emotional, it's action-packed, and therefore it comes in at number 1. There's one battle I didn't include on this, and that's the Battle of Osgiliath from The Return of the King. Not too epic of a battle, not too much fighting going on. It seemed not too grand in the scheme of things compared to these others, so that's why I didn't include it. But go ahead and share below your ranking down below in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do me a favor and go watch Lord of the Rings, and I'll see you guys next time.